Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to this Astrology, Human Design, and Gene Keys channel with me, Tan, and I'm here today with my sisters on our soul tribe and astrologers and human design guides on the Tan Astrology team as well. So I'm here today with Cindy, Adriana, and Sarah, and we are continuing our North Node in the Signs series, and we're going to be doing North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio today. So I have made a video on my channel about North Node going through each of the houses, so you can also check that out. But here we are doing North Node in the signs. So we want to begin by looking at what is the general meaning of the North and South nodes. So what do you, how do you guys interpret the North and South nodes?
South Node and North Node, when you look at your chart, will be those elements looking like this. So the South Node and North Node can be seen as points of increase and decrease. And they are meant to be balanced. So on the South Node, we have something that we came into this life with, a certain gift, and it can be like a comfort zone for you. And on the North Node, there's something that we must experiment and try and exercise in order to balance our comfort zone. So the idea here is not just come from one place to another, but more like combining forces and balance the efforts on both parts. If you do that, you can create this balance in your life that can make you feel like you have purpose. So that's why we address this many times as a point of destiny or a point of purpose in life. But we can also look at it with the Vedic lens, and that's very interesting too. So in Vedic astrology, we look at South Node as being Ketu, the tail of the dragon. And the tail of the dragon, it moves, but it has no eyes, it has no head. So it's moving towards nowhere. It's kind of a trapping cycle. On the other side, we have the head of the dragon, Rahu. And if we isolate the head of the dragon, you're going, impulsively towards something, but you don't have the means to it. So you kind of lose your head over things. So again, the idea here is to glue the dragon, make it a full body and balance the energies on these points so you can move with your life with body and mind. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add here as well that I sometimes also look at the South Node as being an ancestral karma, a baggage of your family lineage that has come from the past, and you're kind of here to heal that or work through that, and incorporating some of the North Node traits and tendencies in there to help you move past those karma of your ancestors as well. So then today we're talking about the North Node in Taurus, which means that if you have a North Node in Taurus, you have a South Node in Scorpio. So I guess we can begin by talking about the South Node being in Scorpio first.
From the minute you start breathing, crisis, deep transformation, upheaval, all of these things that are not comfortable. They're not comfortable. And the thing is, well, I kind of see this in people with South Node in Scorpio. They're kind of fighters. They're like a fire that doesn't go out. Like they're the cockroaches of if that's not offensive, you try to kill them and they just don't die. They just don't go away. They find a way to survive. And I think that's amazing. But at the same time, they convince themselves of this is life. I can endure, like there's no stability. That's like life is that idea of being doomed, and you're not. You have the ability to break cycles. Like you're extremely powerful, not only to fight, but to rest.
Yeah, there's actually a generation born in, I guess, 1985 or 84 or something, where that generation's got South Node and Pluto and Saturn in Scorpio. I'm not sure what's going on with that generation, but every time you see someone's chart with that generation, and with clients and things, and I'm hearing their stories, I'm like, okay, it's because of this sort of heavy Scorpio stellium that's going on here. And yeah, it's like Adriana said, there's always a story about like something that is really traumatizing, or traumatizing is not really the right word. It's like not normal, because Scorpio does rule like the occult. So it's like, it's heavy, but it's also like not so something that you would really normally see as happening with the majority of the population, we could say. So yeah, there's always like those kinds of stories happening with this stellium. But of course, just with the South Node in Scorpio itself, I would also add here this idea of money, because this axis of Taurus and Scorpio does rule money, but it's kind of like different sources of money. And with the South Node in Scorpio, there could be this past or this lesson that you have to learn when it comes to other people's money and other people's resources, and your boundaries when it comes to that. There can be either like too much of let's share, and within that, let's share the 2, 3, 4, and how many people that are sharing, they lose a sense of their own individual resources for the purpose of sharing. So it can be like you lose, the boundaries of your own bank account for this joint bank account. Or it can also be the opposite, where there's like a resistance, a mistrust when it comes to sharing resources. So it's kind of like, I have my own stuff, I have my own account, but I don't want to be open to joining or sharing that with others.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is being alluded to about somebody that can survive the crisis is that somebody is actually prepared for crisis after that. So there's a lot of power in a Scorpio South Node. There's a lot of power in Scorpio in general. And in ancient Hellenistic astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So this is the feminine water sign domicile of Mars. And it's strategic. This individual has real abilities to navigate and to take time to plan things in order to acquire those resources.
Yes, I just wanted to say, I think the South Node is making people like very wise characters, like just with all the experiences they had from an early age on. And like, for example, we can look at Martin Luther King here. I think he's got the Scorpio South Node. And it's just how they understand the world, let's say. Like, it's this dance between the matrix, let's say, and between the spiritual world. It's very interesting to see, and to not like slip back into that very drastic Scorpio energy of that the material world is so unimportant. With like your Taurus North Node, you have to kind of like get out of this thinking and move ahead towards your North Node, what we're gonna explain a little bit later on.
Yeah, I also want to add power struggles. So Martin Luther King was an awesome example. Dealing with power struggles, even in a young age, makes you see the world and people in a very devilish way. So people with this South Node might see the devil everywhere. And because they have this understanding of how humans really are, because they've seen it. They've seen the patterns of power struggles, of, taking that bag when it's not yours, and, those strategies that are not clear. So, they've seen the worst, but if they have this psychological ability to see those bad patterns, they also have the ability to see the light and to see that there are people that want to serve with open heart. So it's kind of flipping the switch. And I want to bring an example here with this South Node. And it's not a real example, but if you've seen the movie The Magic Elephant on Netflix, there's this old guy that a soldier that adopted this kid. I've watched this movie with my fiance and we cried the entire movie. It was embarrassing. And this man, war is over, but is still in that mindset of predicting bad behaviors and not believing that things are going to be okay. They are okay, but he's not leaving that soldier mentality. So letting go of that. Okay, this has served its purpose. You have survived and you have saved this kid, but now it's time to enjoy being a father. Enjoy watching the cats without being like, so full of anger and fear. So not letting fear overrule your life is something that I find to be very important here.
Yeah. I want to add to that if you could finally, let go of those fears and those traumas in your life, with Scorpio energy, you actually become, I would even consider, enlightened, because you have truly surrendered to, we can say, living. So you'll always, there's always going to be this knowing that, okay, whatever happened in the past, it could happen again right now. You've lost something in the past, you could lose it again right now. But if you can live with that, with complete detachment, with total surrender to death happening at any moment in your life, but you can still live at peace and you can still be in the moment with living with that kind of knowledge, you have become truly enlightened, really wise type of energy. But of course, if you can't do that, what can also happen is missed opportunities can also happen in your life because you mistrust and you close yourself off. So you're just kind of missing some opportunities that could actually come in for you. Okay, then we can move into the Taurus North Node. So what's that all about with this other energy balancing off the Scorpio South Node?
Well, one of the first things I think of with Taurus is sensualist, somebody that's using the senses, so sight, taste, touch, smell, hearing, that's taking it all in the physical and able to gather resources using those senses. Whereas when I think of Scorpio, I think of that kind of intuitive sense, or the kind of, like we were saying, like recall, like what has happened to me before, and kind of placing that on the current situation, where Taurus can be very in the moment because it's so sensual and so reliant on its five senses to really capture and take in information.
Yeah, that's kind of like simplicity. That's the most simplest thing that you can do is feel something, like feel this like pillow here, or like smell something, or like just taste something. It's as simple as that. Not to say that this is, entirely what you have to do and you have to neglect your instinct and your intuition. No, but it's just a balancing point. It helps you to calm that kind of energy, because like we said, missed opportunities can happen if you are just so focused on the past. So sometimes when you just smell the flowers, you open yourself up to trusting more in what's in the present moment.
Yes, like really finding the satisfaction and the simple pleasures, like in your day-to-day life, like having a nicely prepared meal, for example, or a nicely decorated home, like really learning to appreciate the material that you have in your world. Like you have a nice home, you have money, you have resources, but on the other side also finding the inner sense of security, that like nothing that is happening externally can like shake you or can like kill you, because you come with this Scorpio background, which is so powerful.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like to see this axis as, Scorpio is underground and it's investigating and it's everything that is beneath. So we can be talking about gold or even, those economic things. And above, there are the flowers, there are the sensory things that you can smell and touch. So it also makes me think of mind and body. So when you're having a panic attack, a good strategy would be to sense, to exercise your sense. What are you seeing around you? How many fingers do I have in front of you? What's this? What are you smelling? So this is truly the Scorpio tumultuous mindset versus the calmness and the simplicity and the present moment of Taurus.
And with that, like simplicity, I also want to talk about money here as well, because Scorpio, wants to do something complex with money. They want to like, okay, you have this amount, and we're going to take this, and we're going to invest, and this is going to go here, and this is going to go. But sometimes it's like, okay, relax. Kind of like, well, what if you just save the money at some time? You don't always have to think about, okay, how you're going to, but you can as well. Like you have to balance off that need to invest and take a risk and, follow some kind of trend and see what profit you can make, and balancing that off with just saving, and then only use it for what's essential for you instead of the complexities of the Scorpio. So you want that balance of the complexity. You know how to do that. You know how to strategize, like we said, but you also want to know, okay, what's important in this life? What do you value? What's essential for you? And then spend money on that or invest in that.
Yeah, I want to talk about another example of somebody with this placement of North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio is actually Stephen King. And what's interesting about Stephen King, of course, everybody knows Stephen King is a writer of horror and that kind of genre. And something that he experienced as a kid actually was one of his really good friends was struck and killed by a train. And so that's kind of one of those experiences that we're talking about as like a big tragedy that caused him a lot of grief. And what did he do with that? Well, he starts writing novels where he's very descriptive and really using his ability to describe the senses in order to create and, manifest these kinds of places that are not actually here in the physical realm, but he's, making it seem very, very real. So I like that as an example.
Yeah. And considering the fact that Taurus does rule the throat, so it does rule your expression. And maybe, Stephen King found some kind of ability to express the things of his past in that way. So some kind of creative, expressive outlet may also be important here to get that dark stuff moving and out in some ways.
Yeah, it's such a cool strategy because there was a darkness inside him. And what he did with that was just put it outside of him, make, peace with that. And you know what? This is me. This is how I sometimes see and feel the world. That's going to make a hell of a story. So let's put it out there. And it's kind of a way of detaching yourself from, those things.
Taurus can also be the sign that is like the caretaker energy. So sometimes it may be comforting for you, to find something to take care of. Maybe it's another person, maybe it's an animal, a pet, a plant, a baby, whatever it is. Just giving that selfless energy to something else that you can kind of nurture besides from spewing in the past, that kind of can really offer some kind of healing there as well. And sometimes it's also just, taking care of nature, nurturing the environment, that kind of energy.
Yeah, I think I have a last message for a person with this axis. You can really help others. You've been through stuff that only other people can imagine. So you have this unique ability to provide counseling and that care that Ten was describing. So experiment with that. I know it's really hard to trust people, but sometimes people do need people. So experimenting with that would be a blessing for the world.
Yeah, I want to add, affirmations, positive affirmations or meditations where you're really getting back into your body, especially if it feels urgent, if something feels like it's really pressing and it's not going to go away, this is the end, like my life's over now. Really taking the time to sit in your body and allow time to pass and realize you're safe in your body.
It's so comforting. I love it.
And to really not get in this emotional drama that can come up in your life sometimes. And like, if you find stability within yourself, then this is something that's actually the greatest gift that you can give and offer to others as well. Like finding that inner serenity, setting your boundaries, and sticking to your dreams as well. Like, dream big, but don't slip into the negative part of it. Like, stay positive and stable inside. Yes.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of people with this axis, because it's such a fixed energy, may even be not really listening to what we're saying, or may even be kind of like resistant to it, because Scorpio and Taurus can just be so stubborn. But yeah, I mean, if anything lands with you in some way, then allow yourself to open up to that, even if it's just very slowly or taking your time with it. Okay. So that's it for this video on the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. If you guys have this placement, then do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. We would love to read your comment and hear about your experiences. And if you like this video, then do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you, beautiful souls, for coming along on these astrology, human design, and Gene Keys journeys. And I will also leave in the description box below the Instagram and social media platforms of Cindy, Adriana, and Sarah for if you guys want to connect with them a little bit more. And of course, I will also leave in the description box our joint Instagram platform where we produce content together there if you guys want to get more content from us as a team. All right, so that's it for today, and we will see you next time with the next North Node in Gemini, maybe? Yes. Okay, bye.
Bye.